was supposed to be one of those nights where the narrative wrote itself. Shakur Stevenson, the undefeated technician with Olympic precision and a reputation as the slickest boxer in the lightweight division, stepped into the ring against William Zepeda, the pressure fighter with endless cardio, relentless volume, and a chip on his shoulder the size of Texas. On paper, it looked like a clash of styles made to explode under bright lights, elusive finesse versus nonstop aggression, defense versus chaos. Fans expected fireworks, pundits predicted a masterclass, and somewhere in the middle was the hope that maybe, just maybe, we'd finally get a fight that lived up to the weight of its billing. But when the final bell rang, what followed wasn't unanimous applause or viral knockout clips. It was confusion, frustration, praise, accusations, celebration and backlash woven together into one messy, unpredictable reaction that lit the internet on fire, because nobody could quite agree on what they had just seen. To some, it was the kind of performance that proved Shakur Stevenson's genius: clean, controlled, untouched. To others, it was a letdown, a waste of a main event. Another example of how technical brilliance can become a curse in a sport that sells violence, not subtlety. And then there was Zepeda. Some said he looked lost, outclassed, swinging at ghosts. Others called him the only fighter trying to make it a fight, the only one bringing heat, the only one who didn't show up just to survive. The divide wasn't just among fans, it hit the media, analysts, even other fighters. Everyone had an opinion, and almost no one agreed. And that, in a way, is what made this fight unforgettable. Not the punches landed, but the arguments left behind. Not the highlight reel, but the aftermath. Because boxing, at its core, is emotional. And on this night, emotion beat consensus. In this video, we're breaking it all down: the fight, the fallout, and the reactions that shook the lightweight division like an aftershock. The moment this fight was announced, it was clear we weren't just watching a boxing match, we were watching a litmus test. Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda wasn't just about two fighters. It was about two ideologies, two fan bases, and two very different ideas of what boxing should be. On one side, Shakur, a defensive savant, a master of angles, a fighter so slippery he makes elite punchers miss by inches and pay for it with millimeter-precise counters. To his fans, he's the new Mayweather. To his critics, he's the reason casual fans walk away bored. Because when Shakur dominates, he doesn't do it with knockouts. He does it with negation. Zepeda, on the other hand, is a throwback. Not to the slick 80s technicians or the Cuban amateurs, but to the rugged, relentless brawlers of Mexican legend. He's volume incarnate, pressure made human. His fights don't play out, they detonate. Even when he's losing rounds, he's winning respect. He doesn't back up. He doesn't get tired. And when he signed to fight Shakur, there was a quiet murmur in the air that maybe, just maybe, we'd see the defensive wizard pushed to a place he hasn't had to go. Instead, what we got was the exact style clash that the realists expected. Zepeda pushing forward, throwing hundreds of punches, missing most of them, while Shakur made him look wild, ineffective, and at times, completely neutralized. For purists, it was art. Footwork so smooth, it looked choreographed. Timing so sharp, it made Zepeda look slow. Every feint, every sidestep, every jab a reminder that boxing at its highest level is about control. But to others, it was a chess match without any tension. Shakur's refusal to engage, his ability to make Zepeda miss without committing to punishing him, felt like a waste of potential. Where's the grit? Where's the finish? Why step into the spotlight and then shadowbox? And that's the contradiction that lives in every Shakur fight. He's too good to get hit, but not aggressive enough to satisfy bloodthirsty crowds. Against Zepeda, he looked untouchable, but that untouchability comes at a cost. For every analyst praising his IQ, there was a fan tweeting snooze fest. And yet, what did we expect? Shakur fought like Shakur. Zepeda fought like Zepeda. The real drama wasn't in the ring. It was in how the boxing world chose sides afterward.
But it's tough to have the conditioning. See, a guy can take your conditioning if he make you fight fast like this.
Very competitive opening round. Zepeda is landing to the body.
The moment the final bell rang, the real fight began. Online, In arenas, it's about punches. On social media, it's about opinions. And this one, it tore the boxing community straight down the middle. Let's start with the crowd in the building. Even before the decision was read, boos were already ringing out. Not for Zepeda, who kept pressing forward, but for Shakur, who, despite landing the cleaner shots and arguably winning most rounds, never gave the fans what they wanted: a war. People came expecting fireworks and they got geometry. It's not that Shakur didn't win, it's that he won in a way that felt too clinical, too calculated, too detached from the chaos that gives boxing its primal appeal. Now scroll over to Twitter, or X, if we're playing along with the name change. There, the divide was even sharper. You had the purists, boxing writers, analysts, former fighters. They saw something special. That's how you shut down a pressure fighter, some posted. Masterclass. Defense wins fights, others echoed. Highlight reels of Shakur slipping 5 punches in a row hit timelines like ballet recitals. He didn't just survive Zepeda's pressure, he dissected it. But then came the other side. Fans, especially those who don't watch every undercard and every amateur prospect, weren't impressed. All that running for 12 rounds and he didn't even try to knock the guy out? One viral comment said, "Boxing ain't supposed to be tag." The frustration wasn't just about movement, it was about intention. Shakur looked like he came in to win a chess match, not a fight. For many, that's not enough, especially when Zepeda's heart and hustle gave them something to root for. And then there were the memes, clips of Zepeda swinging at air side by side with Shakur gliding like he's on skates. Jokes about how judges needed to score style points. One post read, "Shakur just won a boxing match without boxing." Another flipped it, "Zepeda brought a knife to a fencing match." Some fans started drawing lines in the sand. "If you don't like what Shakur did, you don't understand boxing," some said. "If you do like what he did, you don't understand entertainment," others replied. It became less about the fight itself and more about what people believe boxing should be. So when the decision came, unanimous, wide for Shakur, it didn't settle anything. If anything, it made the split louder. Because Shakur didn't just win a fight, he reignited a debate as old as boxing itself. Is the art of not getting hit enough, even if it leaves the crowd wanting more.
A lot of confidence. He has shown a lot of self-belief in there tonight.
And I believe this is the online social media. Y'all got in his ass, man. Y'all was telling him no.
If you're wondering why the reaction to Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda turned into a social media war zone, it all comes down to one thing: style clash. Not just in the way they fought, but in the way they represent two completely different visions of what boxing is supposed to be. Shakur is the tactician, the ghost in the ring. His approach is all about angles, distance, control. He doesn't just dodge punches, he makes you miss by inches, then resets before you can breathe. He's built in the mold of Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, and Guillermo Rigondeaux, defensive maestros who frustrate opponents into making mistakes, then capitalize without ever needing to break a sweat. His fans don't come for knockouts. They come to see perfection. Then there's Zepeda, a pressure engine with no brakes. He fights like he's got something to prove every second. His footwork isn't fancy, but it's relentless. His defense isn't slick, but it's brave. Zepeda comes forward with a purpose. Force you into a fight. Make you trade. Make it ugly. Make it fun. He doesn't want to outpoint you. He wants to outwill you. And for a lot of fans, that's the kind of fighter they'll pay to see. So when these two collided, it wasn't just a match. It was an ideology test. And the outcome revealed just how differently people experience the same fight. To the boxing purists, Shakur's dominance was obvious. He neutralized Zepeda's aggression, used his jab like a weapon, pivoted out of danger like it was muscle memory. He didn't need to take damage to prove superiority. He already had Zepeda swinging at shadows. But to the casuals, and even some hardcore fans tired of overly technical fights, it felt hollow, like a sparring session with rules too strict to matter. Where was the urgency, the emotion, the fight? This is the eternal boxing paradox. Fans say they want skill, but when skill looks like a game of keep-away, they want blood instead. And fighters like Zepeda, even in defeat, win admiration because they're willing to take risks Shakur never even flirts with. That clash, chess versus chaos, technique versus toughness, made this fight unforgettable. Not because of what happened in the ring, but because of what it revealed about us, about what we cheer for, about what we consider greatness. And that's the part people aren't done arguing about. Because in a sport built on opinion as much as punches, Stevenson versus Zepeda wasn't just a contest, it was a referendum.
The scores were off, but Shakur did his thing. I think the first half was Zepeda's, the second half was Shakur. You have to give it up to him, so.
The dust hadn't even settled in the arena before boxing Twitter detonated. Memes, hot takes, slow-motion clips dissected frame by frame. Everyone had something to say. But beneath the noise was a deeper truth. Stevenson versus Zepeda didn't just split scorecards, it split the entire boxing community right down the middle. On one side, you had the Shakur loyalists. They hailed the performance as a defensive masterclass, proof that sweet science is still alive in an era increasingly obsessed with brawls and brutality. To them, footwork and IQ are just as worthy of standing ovations as knockdowns. They pointed to the CompuBox stats, the punch differential, the clean shots landed in half the volume. Their message: you don't need blood to prove dominance. Shakur pitched a shutout, but on the other side, frustration boiled over, not just from casual fans, but from longtime boxing heads who loved technical prowess and still found this fight hard to watch. To them, it wasn't just that Shakur didn't engage, it's that he refused to. They didn't want him to brawl, they wanted him to finish, to push Zepeda out of the ring if he was truly that superior. Instead, they got a victory that felt safe. Too safe. And then came the fighters. Ryan Garcia tweeted out a passive-aggressive, interesting fight, which fans instantly decoded as shade. Teofimo Lopez, never one to stay silent, posted a laughing emoji under a clip of the final round. Even Devin Haney, who understands Shakur's style better than most, liked a post calling the fight a cure for insomnia. That wasn't just trolling. It was a signal, a message to fans that even within the fraternity of elite boxers, there's disagreement on how greatness should look. Meanwhile, some fighters defended Shakur. Andre Ward praised his composure. Terrence Crawford called it a clinic. But even their endorsements were met with skepticism from fans who believe boxing should be about entertainment, not just execution. This tension is nothing new. We've seen it with Mayweather, we've seen it with Rigondeaux, and now Shakur Stevenson is next in line, facing the same paradox. Be too good, and people say you're boring. Take too many risks, and they call you reckless. There's no middle ground. And as the debate continues, one thing is clear. This fight wasn't just about who won or lost. It was about what fans want from boxing. And if you listen closely, you'll realize nobody can agree on the answer. Here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. William Zepeda walked out of that ring with more fans than he walked in with, and he lost. Officially, decisively. On paper, it wasn't even close. But in the court of public opinion, Zepeda just cashed in. From the opening bell, Zepeda fought like a man who didn't care about the odds. He knew who he was facing: Shakur Stevenson, the guy with untouchable defense and Olympic pedigree. And yet, Zepeda never stopped coming forward. He threw punches in bunches, cornered Shakur more than anyone expected, and absorbed clean counters without folding. He didn't win the fight, but he made sure nobody watching could forget his name. That's the thing about boxing. It's not just about scorecards. It's about energy. It's about heart. And Zepeda delivered both in droves. Even the fans criticizing Shakur's performance did so in contrast to Zepeda's effort. At least he tried, became the chorus. At least he came to fight. That phrase, came to fight, is currency in this sport. It separates the warriors from the tacticians, and Zepeda wore it like armor. Analysts were quick to jump on the narrative. ESPN highlighted his punch volume. Boxing Scene called him the aggressor in a losing battle. Reddit lit up with threads praising his gas tank, his chin, and his refusal to be mentally broken by Shakur's puzzle box style. It was like the boxing world collectively nodded and said, okay, Zepeda's the real deal. More importantly, promoters took notice. Even in a loss, Zepeda showed he's made for big nights. He's TV-friendly, fan-approved, and stylistically a nightmare for anyone not named Shakur Stevenson. His name just got bumped up every shortlist for future title eliminators, war-style matchups, and maybe even headliners in Mexico or LA. That's the reward for going 12 hard rounds and giving fans something to feel. And there's something poetic about that. Because in a fight defined by a lack of drama from one side, Zepeda brought the chaos. He swung wide, he missed big, but he never faded. And in doing so, he flipped the narrative. Shakur may have won the fight, but Zepeda won the crowd. That's how careers are made. Not always with a belt, not always with a win, but with a moment. And Zepeda just had his. The man came to win, and even in losing, proved he belongs with the best.
Challenger, his professional record is a perfect one. 33 fights, 33 victories, 27 wins by knockout.
If there's one thing we've learned about Shakur Stevenson, it's that he doesn't run from criticism. He absorbs it, processes it, and then comes back with cold, calculated clarity. After the fight, as headlines swirled and the internet erupted with hot takes, Shakur didn't hide. He didn't ghost the media. He didn't log off. He logged in. On X, formerly Twitter, he addressed the boos directly, saying, "I boxed smart. Y'all wanted me to stand there and trade punches just to make you feel something? That's not how I stay undefeated." In interviews, he doubled down. Zepeda was wild. He tried to make it ugly, but I controlled every second. That's boxing. To his credit, he's not wrong. On the scorecards, he was dominant. On CompuBox, he was efficient. But in a sport where emotion can outweigh logic, it's not just about winning, it's about how you win. And Shakur knows that. He's too smart, too aware not to. That's why he didn't just defend his style. He challenged the entire culture of boxing fans who demand blood over brilliance. "If y'all want brawls," he said, "go watch street fights. This is chess. I'm here to win titles and stay sharp, not take damage for your entertainment." And yet, even with that confidence, you could sense a shift. Not in who Shakur is, but in how he sees his audience. The fight exposed a disconnect. Shakur sees himself as a master technician, a generational defensive genius. But fans, they want fire, and Shakur's not oblivious to that anymore. In fact, he hinted that change might be coming, but only on his terms. "If the right fighter steps up, I'll give y'all the war you want," he teased. "But I'm not doing that for just anybody, and I'm definitely not doing it for clout." Translation: he'll bring the storm if the moment demands it. Otherwise, get used to brilliance over bloodshed. It's a bold stance, but it's also a smart one, because the backlash, as loud as it was, also kept his name trending. It fueled the story. It turned his boring win into the most talked about fight of the month. And for a fighter with an eye on both legacy and marketability, that kind of attention is priceless. So, while some fans might have booed, they're still talking, still watching. And as far as Shakur's concerned, that means he won. Twice.
And I got hurt. I was just watching the video because he threw a jab and I kind of was off balance. And when I was off balance, he kind of kept throwing, so it looked like I was hurt. But
Even though William Zepeda walked away without the win, his reputation didn't take a hit. It leveled up. In fact, for many fans, Zepeda became the unofficial people's champ of the night. Why? Because he came to fight. He pressed forward. He took risks. He made the bout ugly, chaotic, and aggressive, exactly what the crowd wanted. He may have been outboxed, but he wasn't outhearted. His relentless pressure, his refusal to fold under Stevenson's slick movement, and his willingness to make it a war earned him serious respect. Fighters like that often gain more in a high-profile loss than in a low-level win. Zepeda didn't cry foul. He didn't complain about the decision. He stood in the post-fight interview, bruised but proud, and said, "I gave it everything. I'll be back." And fans believe him. Now, promoters are eyeing him as a high-action foil for future contenders. He's the kind of fighter networks love, durable, fearless, and always entertaining. If anything, this bout just opened new doors for Zepeda. His phone will ring, his checks will get bigger, and if he keeps fighting like this, his next main event might not end in boos, but standing ovations. Even after the final bell, the ripple from Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda continues to shake up the boxing world. Whether you saw it as a masterclass or a missed opportunity, one thing is clear: this fight changed the conversation. Shakur's technical dominance sent a message to the division, and Zepeda's grit earned him a seat at the table, even in loss. The fans? They want more action, more heart, less hesitation. Because nights like this remind us what boxing can be at its best: divisive, emotional, unforgettable. If you want to stay locked in for every moment like this, from the next upset to the next legend in the making, hit that subscribe button. We're breaking it all down right here, because in boxing, the bell might stop the fight, but the story keeps swinging.